reason I'm starting with the pickle is because I think pickles are really good for people and they're quite easy to make. I don't know if you got sent information before this live event, but I do have here a fridge pickle recipe for anyone that wants it. So if at the end you do actually want the recipe for what I'm going to do now, please do ask Jenny, and I think she's got this already and she can send it over to you. But it's quite simple, but just in case you miss things that I'm saying or you don't quite understand what I'm doing, it's all written down here. So I'm going to start, and basically I'm going to just use things that you probably have in your kitchen. I'm going to use a glass container, which was a jam jar, which I have poured boiling water into to clean it properly so that you don't get any unwanted germs while this is pickling and in your fridge. So just make sure it's properly cleaned, and the lid as well. And I probably shouldn't be touching it too much because I did disinfect it with the boiling water. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've obviously, if you're going to run this as a workshop with other people, it's quite a good idea to pre-chop everything. But I mean, it's quite nice for people to chop things together. And when I've ran this in the past as a workshop with quite a few people, maybe 12 at the most, because you're obviously using knives and things, I've had a whole basket full of different vegetables, and people got to choose what vegetables they'd like to chop up into cubes. So I've chopped everything into small, tiny cubes. The tinier, the better. So I've chosen a few carrots, and I've pre-chopped them, and I'm going to put them into my jar like this. I'm basically just going to layer up lots of different vegetables. I've also chopped up some raw beetroot because it's really good for you. And that's what I've chosen, and I'm going to put that in next. It doesn't matter what order you put things in. It doesn't matter if you mix it all together first and then put it all into your jar. I've also got turnip, just because it's in season and I found it and I quite like it. It's all raw, none of it's pre-cooked. So the whole point is that you're getting the nutrients of the raw food. You're pouring vinegar mix into it, and it's the pickling of the vinegar is very good for your stomach. It's really good for you. And it also means that your vegetables are going to taste much nicer, and you can use this with bread and cheese or just on top of a salad, or just you can use the pickle in many different ways. I've also got cabbage, which I pre-shredded, and I'm going to put that in. So whatever you do, just make sure it goes right to the top, but you leave 2 centimeters from the top just to give it a bit of air. You can also, as well as the vegetables, which I've packed there, you can also put herbs in. So I've got some herbs here. So I've got some thyme that I just got from my garden, and I might put some thyme in. Doesn't matter how you put it in or where you put it in. I've also got some oregano, and I'm going to put a little bit of that in too. And I won't put rosemary in because I'm going to use that for my oil, and I'm not going to put any sage in because I'm going to use that for the cold remedy. But on top of that, I'm going to open my open L knife, and I'm going to put some ginger into it because ginger is really nice as well. So all I'm going to do is just chop tiny bits of ginger. Obviously, I've washed my hands. If you're in a group, you might all need a chopping board. You would all need share a knife. So you would do this together, and it's a nice activity. It's a bit like cooking together, but you're making something that people can take home for themselves. So I cut this into little cubes as well, and I'll pop some into the jar. And then the last thing there's 2 more things. I'm going to put a bit of garlic in because garlic's always good for you. But as I say, you can just choose what you want to put in here. There's no hard and fast rules. I'm just putting in what's in the recipe and the way I've done it before. You could slice everything, you don't need to cube it. So I'm going to squash my garlic just to get everything out of it, all the juices, and then I'll just cut it into tiny bits. And I'll maybe put half a clove in like that. And then the last part, I might put a little bit of lemon, and I'm going to just take a bit of the peel, peel it a little bit, and I'm going to pop that in just for flavouring at the top. And earlier, I pre-prepared vinegar, the actual vinegar, which was the pickling liquid, basically, which was a cup of vinegar, a cup of water, a quarter of a cup of sugar, and a tablespoon of salt. And I put that on the hob and I boiled it till the sugar had dissolved. And then you take it away, and from the hob, after it's boiled and everything's dissolved, and that's what I've got here. And I also added some pickling spices, which I had in the cupboard, but you don't have to. And the pickling spices are a mixture of different spices that you can buy. You can actually buy a thing called pickling spices. And while it's hot, even though this isn't hot, but while it's hot, you can pour it on top of your vegetables like that until they are completely covered. But you still want to leave a little bit at the top before you screw everything on. So you might use something to prod it down. You just want everything to be covered. And then you put your lid on and you bash it, you bang it a little bit. And that's just to take all the air bubbles out. And sometimes if all the air bubbles come out, you might want to just add a little bit more. It smells really nice. So that's your pickling juice. It's really easy to make. The longer you leave it, the more it will pickle. But basically, this is called a fridge pickle because all you have to do now is cool it, because obviously this would normally be quite hot liquid. At the moment, it's cold. I can put that straight in the fridge and I can leave it there overnight and I can actually eat this tomorrow. It's very quick. The longer you leave it, the nicer it gets. But that's it. That's your fridge pickle. Really easy to make. And the other thing actually is I would get a label. I would get a label, and on my label I would actually write what it is, fridge pickle, and I would write the date. Not sure what the date is, but anyway, I would write the date so you know how long it's been in that fridge. But hopefully you'll eat it quickly and it won't stay there too long. It's a nice present to give to someone, but it's just a nice thing for people to make and take away. So that's the fridge pickle. Very good for your stomach, good for the flora in your stomach, and great.